Let's make this quick. I'm running out of storage on my phone. Oh, shit. I almost dropped my whole book tower. Oh, what have I done? What have I done? Oh no, books are falling off the thing. I did the equivalent of pulling the bottom soda can at like a supermarket and almost dropped all my books. Oh my god. Alright. Excuse the mess. Alright. Book review. Today, we are taking a look at Severance by Ling. I finished reading this a few months ago, and I've had enough time to sit on this book and realize what I like and what I don't like about this book. When I first finished this book, I was kind of harsh in my initial review of this book when I was talking to people about it. I wasn't very fond of the openness of the ending per se. I'm trying to avoid spoilers for now, but I did like the world of this book and essentially the writing. I do have some complaints a little bit about some pacing things. I don't want to say issues, because for some people it might be the fun part of this book, but for me, I was finding it hard to relate to certain aspects of the main character. But in this book, we have a character, a woman who I am drawing up. Why am I drawing a blank on her name? Candace? I think it might be Candace, if I'm not mistaken. Ah, yes, Candace. I had that right. But Candace finds herself in a survivalist group that is struggling in the aftermath of a contagion that hit the country, hit the world. And it's like an airborne fungal virus, so like mushroom virus situation. And if inhaled and if exposed to isolation for too long, your mind will decay and eventually get stuck in a loop. So like, for example, the group she's with, surviving in this post-apocalyptic sickness world, she and the crew, they enter like a suburban neighborhood at one point in the book, and they go up to a house and they do this whole like ritual thing, like where they bless the house that they're about to loot right now before they go into it. But as they're watching, they see in the window that there's like a mother, and she's like washing dishes from where they are outside. It looks like she's washing dishes and preparing a table and preparing dinner for her family. And then the rest of her family shows up. The father and the children show up to the table, and they begin eating. But when they get closer, they realize that everything on the plates, everything on the table is garbage, and it's rotten, and it's disgusting. And the people in that room, the family, were mindless. Like the fungal virus thing took over their minds essentially, which is an insane concept. That's very interesting. I very much thought that was nuts, and that's what very much kept me invested in the book. But that is one of the things that I would have liked to see more of throughout the book, because my issues that I had with the pacing of this book is we sort of jump back and forth between before the virus took over and after the virus took over. So you get to see a little bit of her life when she lived in New York, in Greenpoint, Williamsburg, and Brooklyn, and she gets an apartment and she's like with some roommates, and she works this job in the city, but she's like super dedicated to her job. Like she has like built this pressure on herself to focus on this contract with her job that she needs to work out, and it's a lot of money at the end of it. And a lot of people tell her like, hey, you need to like chill out sometimes. Like that's like the short version of it. But essentially her character is she's very motivated by her work, essentially. And the only problem I have with it is the fact that we jump back and forth quite a lot throughout the book. So if that's not your thing, you just be prepared if you go into this book to be jumping back and forth between the past and the present. and then eventually catching up to the present, and then the rest of the sort of the tail end of the book will take up the post-apocalyptic stuff or aftermath stuff. But what confused me a little bit was throughout a lot of her life before the aftermath, it seemed like she kind of had a good thing going, that because of whatever reason she couldn't express with certain people, ended up leading to this own sort of like self-sabotage kind of thing, where she ends up being like, spoiler warning, we are officially reaching the spoiler warning part of the book. I know I've explained a little bit before, but this is where we get into the heavy spoilers, because I'm kind of want to jump more towards the end of this book. The meat and potatoes of this book is pretty good. The interactions with the people and the survivors, and their leader of that survivor group, I thought all of those parts of the book were very interesting, because they had the leader of their group, he's kind of like this he's a little crazy, but he has like, he speaks with almost like themes of like finding a new self, and we must abandon our old ways. Like when they took her in, he even found her phone and destroyed her phone and gave it back to her destroyed, to be like, oh, this is an example to show that we don't use the old world, and we're gonna move past the old world and build a new world. And she's like, this guy's kind of crazy. So she's not really jiving with everybody in this survival group, especially the leader. But the handful of friends she does make, there's a bunch of interactions with them that were very, very intense, I'll say. Like there were parts where we saw certain survivors succumb to the virus or the sickness, and like at one point in the book they trail off from the leader, like at night. Like she notices a few of them wanted to step away from the tents that they set up. The leader's overall goal throughout the entire book with the survivalist group is to reach some safe haven. I forgot what he calls it, but it's this essential, like, oh, we're gonna survive once we reach this place, it's gonna be the best place ever. And it's just a mall. At the end of the day, you find out later that it's just a mall, and they're gonna set up shop and live in this mall to set up his new future or world or whatever ideas he has. But a part I thought was interesting was at one of their stops, like along the way, they set up tents one night, and when the leader was asleep, they all snuck away, because they weren't too far from one of the girl in the survivalist group's old house. They were a few roads away. So they go and find her old house, and they go in, and everything's all dusty and like abandoned. And in the living room, they see the girl's parents deceased in the chair and the couch, like resting peacefully or whatever. And they don't let the girl go in to see or whatever, and they bring her upstairs, and she's like, oh, my old room. And as she's in her old room, she's like playing with all her old clothes and putting all her old dresses on and everything. And she's like, oh my god, I gotta take some of these to the survivalist group. And the guys are like, no, we'll get caught by the leader if you bring that stuff. And she's like, oh yeah, you're right. But their overall goal was they were looking for a shoebox that had weed in it. She promised that there was a shoebox that had some weed in it. So they find the shoebox, and it's like the smallest little baggie in the world. And they're like, oh, okay, we did all that for nothing. But they're like, all right, let's go. And then they turn around and they see the girl who was trying on the clothes. She's still trying on clothes, and she's now ignoring all of them. They're like, hey, we gotta go. And she's still trying on new dresses, trying on new dresses, trying on new dresses. And that part of the book, that was very intense. That was a very incredible part of the book. Like the highs of this book, I give so much praise to. But I don't want to say the lows, because I don't want to complain too much. I don't want to come off as too mean here. But I was not a huge fan of the ending, and not because the ending was necessarily dissatisfying, but it wasn't enough. I wish this. I feel like I say this a lot in my reviews, but I wish this book was just a couple pages longer. Just a couple pages longer, because let me know in the comments, because I've done little research on this book. I'm not too sure if I'm going to upset people with this review. But if this book has a sequel, let me know, because I would love more of this. My problem with the ending was it was sort of abrupt, and the parts I like about the ending are I feel like they make sense, but the pacing of that ending felt just a tad quick. I don't want to say rushed. I want to say it was just a little too quick for me, because I quite literally found myself like invested in the very last chapter, and as I was getting to the end of it, I flipped to the page and realized I only had about a sentence left, and I wanted to read more, because the heavy spoilers right now. If you would like to go read this book, click away. I'll put a timestamp for when you could reach my conclusion thoughts of this book. But essentially, at the end of the book, when they reached that mall, they found out that our main character Candace, she was pregnant. We find out earlier that in her old life, before the apocalypse and everything, she had a boyfriend who they were close, but then he had plans to go leave the country. I mean, to go leave further into the country, to leave New York. But she didn't want to go because she had her contract, she had her work, and she was extremely dedicated to her work. But she also didn't share with him that she was pregnant back then. So when she's going through all this stuff with the survivalist group, she also doesn't tell them that she's pregnant. And by the time they reach the mall, it's showing, and it's obvious that she is now pregnant. And the leader of the group, when they get to the mall, they quite literally lock her in one of the stores, like pull the gates down on a Sephora and kept her in there. I forgot the store, but essentially she's locked in a store, and she's like, why are you locking me up? She's trying to be calm about it, but she's like, I'm confused. Why we've made it to the mall? Why can't I hang out with everyone? And the leader's like, oh, well, you're pregnant, so we want to keep you safe until you deliver the baby, of course. So we're gonna keep you in here the entire time. She's like, oh, well, thank you. You know, because she's trying not to come off as suspicious, because he's kind of radical. He's shown a few times before that he has no problem offing certain members of the survivalist group or doing extreme things to the survivalist group just to prove a point or something. So she's trying to play her cards safe towards the end, and she waits out for days, like locked in this mall, and with a little bit of help from people on the outside who don't want to get caught helping her, she gets to sneak out of the gate at night. And she was told that there's cars outside, but the keys are in front of the store that the leader is asleep in. So when she sneaks over there to grab the keys, right as she grabs them, she hears footsteps, and the leader's stepping out of the store. She's prepared to like hide, run, but she's like kind of in shock, and she's like stuck for a moment. And as the leader steps out, he walks right past her. And she notices, she's like looking at him, and she walks up to him, and he's quite literally ignoring her as he's walking mindlessly around the mall. And so she realizes that the virus took over him, so she like beats the shit out of him while he's like not even properly conscious, and then leaves and like jets. She grabs the car keys and jets, and then people are like, what's going on? Like, there's people waking up in the survivalist group, and as she's running, she's like, you could come with me if you want, like, come with me, to like the friends that she was close with, but she essentially busts through the door without waiting for anyone, and runs out, and it's snowing, and all the parked cars are outside, and she clicks the keys for one car and finds the car that blinked on. And when she gets into it, she turns it on and gets on the nearest road and drives off. And that's quite literally the end of it. She's pregnant in a car in the wasteland, and she's gone. She just goes, as she literally drives as far as she can, and I think the car breaks down, and she eventually just keeps walking, like she keeps going. And I when I finished the book, I was like, I that's it, like that, not in a bad way, but in a damn, I wish that was just a little longer, because if I could have got more, I thought we were gonna get loops and ties back to like, oh, maybe she finds the boyfriend or something from early in the book, which is like not necessarily to the plot. She could just go on and survive, but like, what about the child? What about the, like, I would love a sequel to this, is essentially what I'm saying here. I was extremely upset when I first finished this book, because I was like, that's it? That's all I get? Like, I would like just a little more. Like, what's going on here? So like, it's not a bad book. I would still very much recommend this book, but like, the parts of the book that I'm not the biggest fan of, you might be the biggest fan of. I don't know. But for me, if I'm gonna give a reasonable review, now that it's been a couple months since I finished the book, I would honestly probably give this book maybe a 6.5, 6.8, like almost a 7, just because there was, you know, like I don't want to be too mean, but I don't want to be too harsh here. But I gotta be honest when I want to be honest here. The world of this book, the imagery of this book slaps, but the pacing, like I said, and the ending kind of put me in a spot where I am not too sure how to rate it, because I have sort of a love-hate relationship with this book. But anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to yap about this book. Go pick yourself up a copy of Severance by Ling if you want. It's still an incredible book. I'd love to know your thoughts if you've read this book. Leave a comment below. If you like this video, I'm sure you like all the other videos on the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye. I gotta fix these books now because I almost dropped them earlier. Toodles!